Wanted to talk to you guys today about 10 marketing and sales tactics to help you grow and scale your business. Who here is a business owner? We might have some installers here, some owners. So a good handful, and I'm sure online as well. How many years in lights? Anyone more than 5? Nice. More than 10? Around? Close? Yeah. And anyone first year in lights? First year? Nice. How's it been going so far?
Haven't done it yet.
Oh, you're just about to start. Okay, nice. So a lot of this that we'll talk about today might confirm what you already know, and you might learn some new things today. But the goal is really to walk away with like 3 tactics you can implement in your business like today or tomorrow that should help you drive sales and drive marketing. Like Claire said, my name's Paul. I'm from the Holiday Lights Academy. Quick background on me. I've been in the home services industry for about 18 years, spending some time with some big brands like 1-800-GOT-JUNK and ShackShine as well. One of the founding members of ShackShine back in 2015. It was there that we figured out and scaled Holiday Lights to about a $15 million business across multiple locations. So a lot of the principles you'll hear about today and part of the Holiday Lights Academy are built on the experience through ShackShine and through learning the industry over many, many years. At the Holiday Lights Academy, like Claire said, what we do is we help businesses launch and scale holiday lights. So one meaning launch is to help business owners skip the guesswork, figure out pricing, really just set them up for success to launch holiday lights. For example, last year, we had our first year member do $1 million in their first year in just lights through the program and the academy that we have. On the scale side, we support business owners to scale their lights business. So that same member still with us, they're going to do $3 million in lights this year. So helping with the tools, resources, systems, processes to help scale your lights business. That's what we do. We support hundreds of business owners across North America through the Holiday Lights Academy. Like I said, by the end of today, those on the line with us and here, I'd love for you to walk away with 3 tactics you can implement in your business. Like I said, some of it you may have already heard, others might be new. So feel free to take notes. If your phone's dead, I hope you remember everything. And I think we'll share the presentation after as well. Quick agenda. I'm going to share 3 keys to effective sales and marketing. Then we'll go into 10 tactics you can implement in your business. And some, again, you may already do. You might learn some new things through those. But through those 10, my goal would be for you to choose 3 to implement in your business. We're going to review and own the neighborhood plan. So the concept of appear bigger than you are, really own a neighborhood, a small area of the region you operate in, so everybody knows who you are. And at the end, we'll have time for questions. I'll try and talk for like 30, 40 minutes and then have time for questions for both you guys and the people joining us online as well. Before we jump into it, I'm curious from you guys here, is there anything specific you'd love to learn today from a sales and marketing perspective for Holiday Lights? Anything you came into today, you're like, I'd love to learn that or get perspective on that?
Pricing.
Pricing?
Yeah.
Okay, what specifically?
Just, there's so many unique angles when it comes to holiday lights. Like some people want their trees done, some people, maybe only want a certain portion of the home done or stuff like that. So, how you price different scenarios.
Great. Hold on to that thought. There's no specific slide for it, but happy to dig into it at the end and chat about that. So pricing one. Anyone else? What about you? You're just getting into it?
Yeah, just getting into it. So pricing and creating at least all the little lines that I need to keep in mind about.
Okay.
For a standard home, what should I keep in the back of my mind when I'm planning?
Cool. Okay. Anybody else?
Ownership versus leasing.
Okay. So the sell model versus leasing model, what that looks like. Yeah. Again, not a specific slide. We had the same conversation last year at one of these. It's a big debate in the industry. There's an easy answer to it, but hold on to that as well in the question period. Can definitely provide perspective. Because through the hundreds of members we have, it's quite distinct, and there's, like I said, an easy answer for that, so that might help. Anybody else?
Overall sales presentation.
Okay, what do you mean?
How are you presenting the sale to the customer? What does your quote look like?
Cool.
How do you make it easier to sell with your marketing materials?
Nice. And again, I don't think there's a few slides that cover a few of those, but for the sales presentation, how it's presented, hold on to that thought too. We can come back to that as well. Great. So wanted to start off with 3 keys to effective marketing and sales. This is more of like the theory side of it. And it's when you guys are making your business plan and strategy and looking at like, what should I invest my marketing and sales dollars into? One, and this is a general principle across many brands, this is nothing new, but applying to home services, number 1 principle is thinking, putting ourselves in the consumer's shoes is win the heart and the mind will follow. Lights is such an emotional, touchy-feely business. It's bright, it's happy. And for a lot of us, we forget to do that in our marketing and sales interactions. So we have to remember to win the heart and the mind will follow. So a bit of answering that question that Eric had is, do we include that in our presentation? Are we talking about that as we build value and sell to our customer? So 1, I apologize if you can't see it, but I'll do my best to read it. Your message and call to action should speak to the customer's values and needs. So determining, having your sales process, you do an intro and rapport. Next thing should be a needs analysis. Find out what the needs of the customers are, then build value based on those needs. Different people have different needs. A lot of times we forget to build a needs analysis. Next, what's most important, all of us have a different brand, but building brandable chunks, and I'll explain a little bit later what that means. But we'll sell more if we connect with our customers' hearts. This is a super relational business, not a transactional business. It's emotional, people love lights, it's for their family, for their kids, to make their neighbors jealous, whatever it is. A lot of times we're so busy, we forget that we have to connect with their hearts instead of just present a price. So if you do that more, your conversion rate will go up. Next one is just designing your branding and marketing materials based on your customers' needs. A lot of times we design our marketing based on our needs, but we forget to put ourselves in our customer's shoes and design it. What's the magic for the customer? So a lot of times that could be making the customer the hero of the interaction. So we make ourselves the hero or our installers the hero. But the more you can make your customer the hero, the more they'll think it's their great idea, their decision, and they'll be more likely to go with you. Some examples of that would be in interactions in the sales process, your neighbors will be jealous. They're gonna love it. You're gonna have the brightest home on the block. Or your kids are gonna be super excited. Your grandkids are gonna love this. Same with your marketing copy. Thinking of how do we bring the magic out and how do we make the customer the hero? A lot of our marketing copy is, our lights are great. We'll light up your house. But that's more from our perspective or the installer perspective. So what does it mean? It's not so much, we have great lights for marketing copy. It should be, your family, friends will love it. Let us bring the magic to you. Make something special. Outshine your neighbors. Again, those are just examples. I'm not a marketing guy, but the principle is winning the heart first, and their mind will follow a lot easier. So revisiting your marketing materials and seeing, do we have these kind of magical moments in there, and making the customer the hero instead of the installer. Second one is, and I'm going fast through this because I got a lot, frequency and reach. So in order to get in front of the most customers for the least amount of dollars, we got to have a balance of frequency and reach. So what that means is we need to reach our customers through multiple tactics over a period of time. And we can't just try one tactic once and say, that didn't work, let's move on to the next one. Because there needs to be more frequency to it so we can have data to make decisions. There's this rule of 27 in home services. Anybody heard of the rule of 27? So in order for somebody to make a purchasing decision, they need to see your brand 27 times. Why do we see so many McDonald's ads and Subway and Starbucks and Ford and whatever you can think of? You need to see a brand 27 times to make a purchasing decision. For us, that could mean vehicle, yard sign, door hanger, direct mail, newspaper ad, Google ad, Meta ad, and so on. So what are those 27 for you? If you only get in front of your customer 5 times, they're gonna go with somebody else. You need to get in front of them 27 times so they can consider your brand. Then there's a concept of a peer bigger than you are. So all of us operate in large cities, whether it's Vancouver or Toronto or a few people joining us wherever you are virtually. Our areas are big, and we tend to just chase leads all over the area. Have we looked at our area and sectioned it off into 4 quadrants? pick the best quadrant, then within that quadrant, pick the best 5 neighborhoods. There's more than enough work in that little subsection of your area to hit your goals. Now what that does is, imagine if you're doing jobs all over your territory, your city, very little people know about you in a lot of places. But if you pick one quadrant, a lot of people will know about you in a very small area, and that's how you scale a brand. With cheaper marketing dollars, you'll appear bigger than you are, you have more reach, etc. We want all of our customers to say, I see you everywhere. How is that possible? You're the clear choice for us to do holiday lights, because they see you everywhere. But if only a few people see you in a few areas, you don't have that mentality. So you're not the clear decision in your market. For example, that, like I mentioned, includes parketing. I don't think I've mentioned parketing yet, but parketing is, anybody have wrapped vehicles or like, yeah, you do? Like your company name on the vehicle? Parketing is parking your vehicle in a high traffic location for free. There's a lot of free parking in your cities. So at the end of the day, park it from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. And then it gets so many eyeballs on the commutes home from work and to work. The average intersection would get 20 to 30,000 eyeballs on it. And it's a free billboard since you already paid for your wrap or for your company logo on your car. So it's parketing, yard signs, door hangers, direct mail, field marketing, post signs, really anything you can see to build those 27 impressions to make you appear bigger than you are. Then you want your customers to say, wow, like these guys own this neighborhood. There's one neighborhood particularly I know of. There's this one company, there's 60 homes in like this gated community. They do 40 of them. And they're the clear choice in that community. People don't even think of going with anybody else. And that's what makes your marketing dollars work for you. Third one is strategic. So you got to plan out your campaign. Who executes the marketing kind of last minute and just dumps money into it without planning? The time to plan for next year's holiday lights is actually in 4 weeks. So planning that couple quarters ahead, because you need time to integrate new vendors, plan for it, budget for it, and then launch it early. So a proper campaign must be planned, and then targeting your spend with tactics, deadlines, and your goals. So again, look at your goal for November, identify how much you have to spend, and the goal is to invest about 15% of your goal into marketing. So if your goal is $100,000 this year, it would be a strong recommendation to spend $15,000 of that into marketing. Reason for that is, the beautiful thing about lights is it's repeat revenue. So it's not just acquiring the customer once, it's acquiring the customer for 4 years, 8 years, 10 years. So your cost of acquisition, you front load it to scale and acquire as many customers as possible. Then over the years, that gets less and less as you scale your business. That member I used, the example, they're in Northeast Ohio. They did $1 million their first year. They spent $150,000 in marketing. But the next year, they had 90% of their customers come back. So well worth the investment to front load it and scale the business quick. And then a lot of time goes into building your marketing campaign. A lot of times we actually don't spend enough time building it, but in reality, it's probably equal or greater to than the execution of it. So you should spend more time planning it than executing your marketing tactics. Once you do, that's when you get to a position of 1 million, 3 million. There's even a member that does $6 million in lights in the southern region in Georgia. Just lights in 12 weeks. And they spent hours planning their marketing campaigns. So what does that mean in terms of a practical schedule? Between September 1st and 30th, those are the main 3 things that you would do. We're past that date, but you guys can take a note if you want. September 1st to 30th is existing customer engagement. Then you have activating your social, like Meta, Google, etc., ads, and then digital ads as well. So that's Google and others. Then the time frame we're in now, October 1st to November 15th, activating ground game. So for those that have started, I'm sure you've done a lot of installs, but that means yard signs, door hangers. We'll dig into details in a little bit as well. But that's really continuous until December 15th. Direct mail campaigns. Direct mail works really well in Canada through Canada Post. For our US friends joining us, it's through USPS, so Terdell or EDDM or R. Donnelley or others. But to be executed properly, you got to do 4 drops of 5,000 units each. Can't just do one direct mail drop and hope for it to work, because remember the rule of 27. It's got to be done those 4 times at least. November 16th, coming up in about 10 days till December 15th, your ground game should continue what we talked about. Social and digital continues, direct mail continues, and this is a good opportunity to explore local opportunities. So parades, TV stations, magazines, newspapers, events. I've seen a really cool opportunity where every local town has some sort of a parade, light up your vehicle and drive in the parade and just hand out candy canes, maybe with your card stapled to it or your marketing collateral stapled to it. Good brand awareness, and then you become a pillar of the community. And lastly, December 16th to 24th, I've done installs on December 26th, so you wouldn't believe how late people go. I'm sure some have as well.
I did on January 1st.
You beat me for New Year or other events that people have, different cultures. But that's a good time in that time frame, December 16th to 24th, to call back your pending estimates and do last minute installs. You can also raise your prices like Uber does. So you're coming closer to Christmas, maybe your schedule's full, you can also increase your prices at that time. So what does that mean? 10 sales and marketing tactics. Starting off with number 1 is all of us have a core business. I see some logos on your shirts. So we have our holiday lights business, but throughout the year we have another business, whether it's like painting or roofing or power washing or cleaning, right? We all have core businesses, so we have a lot of customers that we have. It's a good idea to have dual service marketing collateral. So one side is your core business, the other side could be your holiday lights, or include holiday lights as your services there. Then specifically right now, looking at email campaigns. If you can email your customer list through your email platform and have an acquisition focused or acquisition content email. So providing customers with a deal or something that they can take action and use your service. In December, last minute email campaign for follow-ups and maybe a last minute deal. Book with us before Christmas, get 10% off or something like that to get those pending estimates in. This is not done enough, I feel, is dialing for dollars, is phoning your existing customers. There's businesses I know that have thousands of customers, but email is a very passive way to get in front of them. If you have somebody dialing for dollars, you'll get some people picking up the phone, some people answering email, and some people picking up text. But if you do all 3, you'll get in front of, you'll spread increase your surface area of opportunity. So dialing for dollars, super underrated, but well worth it. That company that did $1 million their first year, like 30% of their business came from their previous customers just dialing for dollars relentlessly. They called each customer 8 times in the season. Once is not enough, twice is not enough, 8 times. Personalized phone calls, like I said, text. This is a cool one I've seen done. Every customer gets a holiday lights estimate. If I'm a painting company or window cleaning company, throughout the year, when I finish a job for a customer, I say, your house would look amazing in lights. Here's an estimate. That's more for the season coming up as we all transition to lights. But think about that. How can we get in front of more customers with a lights estimate? I saw somebody carrying the Big Star Lights display case. There's one on my right, your left. That's an amazing tool to keep in each service vehicle and have your technicians or painters or installers show customers, show neighbors. Because again, win the heart and the mind will follow, and that helps win the customer's heart. Pictures are tough. They got to see it. They got to plug it in. They got to touch it. It's cool when you throw the bulb up, it lands on the ground, it doesn't break. Little things that win the heart of the customer. Existing customers upselling at every job, so same thing, providing them a quote for lights, also continuing to upsell and having that in mind. And then job site marketing. Every job you currently do should have an element of job site marketing, which we'll get into in the next slide. Number 2 is ground game and job site marketing. So in that same vein as job site marketing, should be leaving a yard sign up at every job. And a really cool tactic is to light up your yard sign, which you'll see in a few minutes. Yard sign, lawn sign, same thing. Every job, 30 door hangers dropped, so it should be 15 up and 15 down. And I know in the height of the season we can get quite busy and we forget to do job site marketing, but it's super important to build those 27 impressions so they think we're the number one choice in the neighborhood. So 15 door hangers up, 15 down each job. Put up yard signs in your best neighborhood. Do a yard sign blitz. If I were to say, show of hands, who has 100 yard signs up right now? It's probably nobody. That should be the target. In 2 weeks, what does it look like to have 100 yard signs, not all over my area, but the best quadrant and the 5 best neighborhoods? So they think we're the biggest thing in those neighborhoods. Holiday light specific door hangers. I've heard of a lot of companies hiring door hanger specific people, pay them per hour or per piece, and they can just drop door hangers. You can do about 80 per hour. In an 8-hour walking shift, you can do, let's say, 600. So it's a really cheap way to get in front of people. It's not mixed in with direct mail or mail, it's right on their door. So super effective. Parketing, I talked about. So parketing, it was kind of coined by 1-800-GOT-JUNK. You've probably seen their trucks. They park on major intersections, and they usually either barter junk removal or services for it. A lot of times it's free. So since you've invested $3,000, $4,000 in a wrap in your vehicle or a simpler logo, let's use it when we're not driving it. Park it in a high visibility intersection so you get a lot of eyeballs on it. Now, like I said, light up your holiday light specific yard signs. This is a member of the Academy, and you can see, so there's lights all around the yard sign, and it's plugged into the display of the home. So when the house lights come on at night with your timer or whatever it is, the yard sign also lights up. So you see a lot of people stopping and saying, wow, that's pretty cool. That was the company that did it. And you just get more leads that way. It's just simple. It's just 6 bulbs, 5 or 6, depending on the size of your sign, with an extension cord going to the house. It costs almost nothing, but it makes a huge difference in your marketing dollars. 3 is, some of us love it, some of us hate it, is door knocking. Everybody here is like, hell no.
It's the best.
It is the best, thank you. There's a company in the Toronto area, and they're a window cleaning company. They're doing lights next year, and they've built a $5 million business without spending a single dollar on digital or social advertising. $5 million business, all by knocking on doors.
Are they in Ottawa?
No, just Toronto. There's also a business here in Kelowna. They're a painting business, $2 million business just by knocking on doors. So it's pretty powerful. It's simple. Pick your best neighborhoods, knock on doors. You can do about 30 doors an hour. In that hour, you'll talk to maybe 6 to 8 people. You'll complete 1 to 3 estimates on average, and you'll close 1 to 2 jobs. So what that means in dollars for us in the lights industry is closing 1 to 2 jobs per hour is anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 per hour in revenue. In terms of net profit, that could mean paying us anywhere from $300 to $600 per hour in net profit just by knocking on doors. So if you look at it from a net profit perspective, it's a pretty good ROI on your time, paying yourself $300 to $600 by knocking on doors. I've gone out, knocked on doors. I've done up to 4 estimates, booked up to 4 jobs. You can easily book $6,000 to $8,000 in an hour in peak season. It's a really effective tool. If you don't have any work next week, if you knock on doors this weekend, you'll have work next week. A simple script could be, hey, my name's Paul. I'm with this holiday lights company. We're just working in the neighborhood right now. When we finish Mrs. Smith's house, we do custom cut professional grade lights that look awesome on your home. Is this something you hire out for? Open-ended question, starts the conversation. Their first answer will be, no. Oh, you don't hire anybody yet. I'd love to provide you with a quote. If they say yes, oh, amazing. Do you do it yourself or do you have a provider already? Opens up the conversation. Through that interaction, win their heart, their mind will follow, provide an estimate, and book it. Super simple way to get jobs on the schedule when needed. Number 4 is sphere of influence. So this means like connecting with your local community and getting out there. Who are the companies, the people, part of your sphere, part of your influence? One is BNI. Anybody do BNI here? I know you do, Eric. Business Networking International, so it's a networking group, bni.com. It's a great concept. Anywhere from 30 to 60 business owners come together for breakfast usually, and you network and exchange leads. It's amazing, and it works really well to build your lights business. Chamber of Commerce is huge too. Local networking events. BNI is a local networking event, but some similar like that in your local communities. I think it's, what's the website, events or meetup.com or whatever it is, that has a lot of local events on there that you can look at. There's some community events, so it could be for those joining us from the States, like state fairs, county fairs, holiday markets here in Vancouver. We have that Christmas market. What are some events that you can get into in your local community? Parades are big, we talked about that. And a cool one I've seen more and more people do is a charity installation. There was a business in Chicago that did a charity installation for this kid who was in the hospital. While he was in the hospital, they lit up his treehouse in his backyard. And the kid got back, was super excited. The parents actually reached out to the Chicago Tribune, and they ran a full page kind of piece on this company that lit up this kid's treehouse. Free. They got to give back to the community, make a kid happy, and a result of that was amazing PR in the biggest newspaper in Chicago, as an example. So think about in your area, what is your sphere of influence? It's slightly different for everybody else. I know some do BNI and others do different things, but what are the 3 things that mean a sphere of influence for you? This one's been cool. A lot of companies have been starting it lately. I just talked to a member out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and they just did this. I'll share the story in a bit. But free stringing, I probably haven't heard of it, but really it's choosing 5 homes to light up for free in your neighborhood. All you have to pay is for the product, like $200, let's say. So choose your 3 to 5 key neighborhoods in your best area. Out of those 3 to 5 neighborhoods, identify houses on a main corner, main thoroughway, in and out, that you can light up for free. And knock on their door and propose your offers. Knock on the door and say, hey, I got a great deal for you. I'd love to light up your house for free if you let me leave up a lit up yard sign on your yard. Most people say yes. Complete the job, and at the end of the season, you can take down your lights or sell the lights to them. A lot of people actually then buy the lights from you, and you have a customer from then on in. So what that does, and you light up a yard sign at the end of each free stringing job. So this business in Charlotte, North Carolina, they did 5 jobs. They finished them about 2 weeks ago. And they picked their 5 best neighborhoods. They did 1 job at the front of the neighborhood, so everybody sees it driving in, walking their dog, whatever. They tracked it. Those 5 jobs resulted in 25 more jobs for about $40,000 in revenue. Their only investment was about 12 hours in labor and $200 per job. So roughly $2,000, and they got 25 jobs out of it. And again, it makes you appear bigger than you are, pillar of the community, rule of 27. It satisfies win the heart, the mind will follow. Because as we know, as we start installing more and more lights, the leads start flooding in. So how do we almost artificially create that demand? That's a great tactic for those starting out, especially to build customers. 6 is an easy one. Digital advertising. 1 is Meta. Anybody do Meta ads here? Couple, yeah. I've seen about 1,000 to 2,000 or more per month starting in October. I've seen companies try it earlier in August, September. It's good. It's an investment, but the best return is October, November, December. And then Google ads. Anybody do Google ads? About $2,000 to $8,000 recommended for your business spend. I've seen some try spend $500 or $750, typically not enough to gain traction because Google's algorithm doesn't favor that low spend. You just won't get enough. You don't have enough budget to bid against the competitor keywords. Some businesses, like that one that did $1 million their first year, they spent $38,000 in October last year, as an example. That's one. That's an easy one. Number 7 is, again, something we don't do enough of, is on-site upsells. Anybody track upsells on-site? 1? Yeah. Do you know the number, like per job?
I don't remember. I just used to incentivize the guys.
Awesome. That's one of the next slides, so I won't. Just speaking holiday lights, if you're doing an install of C9s or G30s on gutter line or roof line, do you track any further upsells that your installers would do?
Like windows, right?
Say my upsell is like 100.
Yeah, we'll go through that and what that looks like. A cool example is a member, their average booked job size is $1,800. So through their estimate, they book $1,800 on average. Then they've dialed in their upsells with their crew. So their average crew, average job, upsells $500 per job. So that $1,800 job turns into $2,300 just by asking simple questions. And those upsells are really 5mm light strands. A lot of people start with the house lights or other building lights. Easy upsell is add-on trees, bushes, etc. Another easy upsell is more C9s or G30s, like stake lights down framing a driveway or pathway. Those are an amazing upsell. Adding the sides of the home. Maybe they have a back deck or porch or something they want to hang out at. There's a hot tub back there in colder climates. You can get some patio lights on there. Training your guys to look for these opportunities. And it's not being pushy, it's just educating the customer. Hey, have you thought, your house looks amazing, by the way. Have you thought of doing this tree right here? I can do it for you right now, it'd be $200. Something like that. Floodlights are pretty big. If you do a trunk wrap, maybe you can use a branch mount floodlight or a floodlight on a side of a home or building or tree. Wreaths, garland are huge. I was actually at an install a few days ago helping a member, and we just installed the C9s on the roof lines and peaks. And the neighbor had actually a competitor do their lights, and they had 3 wreaths in the peak and garland around the front post. So that neighbor we were installing on said, I want that. And didn't even have to really work hard for that upsell. But if you offer it, that was an extra $1,500 for those 3 wreaths or 4, whatever it was, and some garland. Patio lights, like I mentioned, are huge for walkways, hot tubs, decks, etc. There's many, many more. But really the easiest ones are 5mm light strings, 5mm light strings, extra lights on the home, stake lights down a pathway, something simple. The key is to provide your team with average pricing so they're not fumbling to provide the customer with a price or calling you and delaying the process. An upsell only works really well when the customer's excited and they see your lights lit up. They see it lit up, they're happy, they're smiling, upsell them right away there. So average pricing means how much per foot is your technician authorized to sell on site? It's $10 a foot. They can measure 50 feet, it's $500. What's the price per strand your technician is authorized to sell? $50 per strand or $60. They use 4 strands on this tree, it's, let's say, $240 for that tree. So provide them with a list of average pricing and maybe an upsell script that will help them add more revenue to the job. Anybody do a lot of commercial work? I know I was talking to a few of you, big commercial quotes out. You do, I know Eric, you do. Commercial is a big opportunity. Not only just reaching out through email or passively receiving leads, but being a little bit more aggressive in cold calling commercial properties. And it's not just, again, you can't just touch base with them once. You probably have to go there 27 times. And it's done through a combination of cold calling, lunch and learns, cookie drops, and emails. So cold calling could be knocking on the door, explaining who you are, and offering your service to them. Make sure you talk to a decision maker. Then you can do a lunch and learn. Let's say there's an office of property managers for First Service Group. And you say, I'd love to buy 30 of your property managers lunch and present how we can make your property shine. Buy them lunch, do a 30-minute presentation, starts building, getting the momentum there. Next one's cookie drops. There's lots of local vendors. Just get cookies with your logo like iced on it, with icing, and then start to drop them off at your 20 top commercial customers. Builds the rule of 27, the 27 impressions. They've seen your email come in, you've knocked on the door, you did a lunch and learn, bought them lunch, like this company's amazing, I gotta use them. Once doesn't work, but you gotta do it over and over again. It could lead to, I know of some $500,000 commercial jobs, $300,000 jobs, $40,000 jobs. It's a longer sales cycle, a big opportunity. Which ones to reach out to? Hotels are huge. Restaurants, property managers like I mentioned, car dealerships, those are big at this time of year. It always bugs me if anyone's driven in Vancouver down, I think it's Terminal, and there's a Porsche and a Mercedes dealership and a few other ones. Their lights look horrible. Just want somebody to go do them. So if anybody here wants to go do them, just knock on their door. They look so bad. Talk to the fixed operations manager, give them a quote. Malls are huge, outdoor malls, especially our friends in the US joining us. In warmer climates, lots of outdoor malls. There's a lot of outdoor malls here, indoor malls too. Building managers are big as well. I've heard of somebody providing a quote to like a multi-unit residential complex. And then retirement homes. People love lighting up retirement homes, bring some joy. There's actually a case study online, I don't have the link, but it's somewhere, where lighting up a business like a pub or hotel or strip mall actually brings more customers in. So work with that commercial customer to educate them on, if you light this up and spend $20,000, that will more than come back to you in increased business or etc. Number 9, I know in the back we had a comment about incentivizing for sales. So looking at what does it look like to incentivize your team for upsells and new sales. Anybody incentivize your installers right now for lights? Few? I know you did, yeah. What do you guys incentivize for? You commented.
I just give them
Commission for like an upsell or a new sale. Awesome. That's one of them here. For an on-site upsell, recommendation is a 5% commission on all upsells. So you have a job for $1,500 booked, and your technician installer upsells $500 on that, they get $25 just for educating the customer what needs to be done. I've seen some installers upsell $2,000 each day. $2,000 at 5%, that's $100 right in their pocket. That's as if they had to work an extra 4 or 5 hours, just for educating the customer. So it's 5% of the sale, and the other one is if they generate new estimates. So not only are they upselling the existing job, but they should be talking to the neighbors. Someone's washing their car, walking their dog. Incentivize them for $25 or more for a new lead that came in that results in an estimate. That'll help you get the culture of winning and performance and them selling for you as well. That's a big one. Some companies I've seen offer up to $50 per estimate. Because if you think digitally, your cost for a lead is usually $100. And not all leads turn into estimates. So incentivizing up to that amount is well worth it if it turns into an estimate. Last one, in order to do all that, we have to do what's called IAAP, and it stands for It's All About People. We need great people on our team to be able to execute all of that. Some of us might have these people on our team. If we don't, it might be a good idea to look into it. We know this, hiring enough installers so we don't have to do the work ourselves. How easy is it to jump in ourselves and do the work? But if we tend to work in the business and not on the business, we're not scaling and growing. So our time is best spent working on the business to accelerate growth. That's one. In order to do the 9 previous ones, you can't be installing all day. Another one is, which I know a few of you have had, is hiring a VA. Anybody know what a VA is?
Virtual assistant.
Virtual assistant, yeah. Virtual assistant is amazing to take care of your admin tasks, like calling customers back, responding to Google reviews, managing inbound lead flow, calling outbound customers. They're quite cheap. There's agencies that can help you connect with VAs all throughout the world, starting at $6 an hour. And they speak amazing English and execute really, really well. So VAs are a great opportunity to take yourself out of the day-to-day to focus more on growing your business. Hiring an estimator. A few companies I've talked to bring on an estimator just for about a month because we know the demand is so high right now, we just can't keep up with estimates. And try looking for an estimator between November 10th and December 10th. A really good source is companies that are busy in the summer and don't necessarily operate much in the winter months. Painting companies, landscaping companies, roofers, etc. Maybe they don't do holiday lights. Maybe they don't want to. They have staff who want some winter work. Create relationships with those companies and you can borrow their estimator for a month as a good partnership. Or just hire through Indeed, Craigslist, other sites as well. One really smart, he's a franchisee for 1-800-GOT-JUNK. His name's Paul as well. Probably the smartest thing I've ever heard, and he told me, always do sales by day and paper by night. So what that means is as we're scaling our business, until we get to like $1 million, we always have a sales issue. After $1 million, it's a production issue. You have more people on your team, more moving pieces, but to get to $1 million, it's always a sales focus. So your efforts during the day should be on sales and growing the business, and leaving like the admin and the kind of tedious stuff to evening work. Because during the day, you want to connect with as many customers as possible, be in front of as many customers, go to as many job sites, be out there in the community. So just thinking about that, sales by day and paper by night. This person, Paul Guy, he runs a $30 million franchise, for example, just living by that adage. And just below, supporting it, like 75% of your time should be committed to sales activity, because you have an amazing team of installers, you have a VA, and you have an estimator that can support that. And if you can do all that, that's kind of the secret sauce to get to $1 million in your first year, is having that similar structure. Lastly, what does all that look like in a plan? And feel free to take a screenshot or picture, but own the neighborhood plan. What do we need to do and what do we need to execute? So on the left side is a tactic, in the middle is the cadence or quantity, and then the frequency on the right. Parketing, I won't go through all of them, but parketing is a tactic, yard signs or lawn signs, direct mail, job site marketing, door hangers, referrals, networking, Google or Facebook reviews, and then partners. Executing all of that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis will help elevate your sales and marketing game. That's it. I'd love to open it up. I got about 10 minutes. Any questions? I know we probably may have some online. I can get to you guys if you type it in the chat. But here, if you guys have any questions, I'd love to provide some perspective. Leasing versus, yeah, good old. So leasing versus ownership model. Who here leases lights with us here? You guys lease? Everybody else, you guys lease? Lease?
Trying to. It's hard to get customers to understand that model.
Because you sell here. You started selling the lights.
No, I'm
Starting to lease,
here,
yeah.
but at this point,
Cool.
I'm trying to go with lease model.
Gotcha.
Most homeowners want to buy.
So for those online, if you can't hear, the question is, should we lease or should we sell lights to a customer? It's quite a hotly debated topic in the holiday lights circles. Easy answer is, we've seen data from hundreds of members in the Academy. The really simple answer is Canada, the culture, is a sell culture. We need to sell lights to our customers. Leasing generally does not work in Canada. It's the culture here. In the US, 99% leasing culture, maybe 95. That's the culture. So they lease lights in the US. In Canada, we sell lights to our customers. So if you are just starting out, it's tough to go against the grain in the culture. I would just go with what the precedence has been set in your region if you're from Canada. If you're from the US, if you're starting out, for those joining us online, it would be starting off with leasing. Now there are both models in both countries, but I'm talking for the majority and the easier path. Just, it's a culture thing. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when you reinstall sold to client, do you drop the price?
So if you sell lights to a client the first year for $1,500, the question is, do you drop the price the next year?
When you install?
Absolutely. The model typically is, this might answer a pricing question I had here, is usually it's about 50% less. There's a special calculator, we have it as part of the Academy, but let's say it's $1,500 the first year, you'd be roughly $750 or $800 the second year, because they've purchased the product that you've marked up already, and all they're paying for is the labor portion. So your gross profit, the first year install, will be roughly 50 to 60%, because you're paying for the lights and the labor. The second year, your gross profit will be roughly 70 to 80%, because all you have is your labor cost. Yes?
So, super basic questions about pricing because I've never done Christmas lights before. So,
Okay.
do you do like linear feet or do you do like say just a sticker price based on if that's a tree $249? Like what are a combination of both? Like how would you price out a job?
Great question. So those that couldn't hear online, the question is, how do you price out a job, linear feet or per unit, like a tree or something? For house and building, it's done by linear feet. So measuring the surface of the gutter or roof line or whatever it is, and charging by linear foot. Some companies do first floor, second floor, third floor pricing.
Okay.
Third floor is more expensive than first floor. Some companies blend it into an average. Up to you. There's no right or wrong there. In terms of trees or bushes or some trunk wrap, canopy wrap, it gets a little bit more challenging. There's a calculator available because you have to use pi to find the circumference and how many strands you need, but it's per strand. So you determine what that trunk wrap needs. If we have a trunk wrap that's 6 feet tall and like a foot wide, we know that needs 3 strands, and that's just a formula built into a calculator or using pi. If we have a canopy wrap of a 20-foot wide tree by 10 feet high, we know that's 8 strands. You find out how many strands you need for that trunk wrap or canopy wrap. Then your price will depend on your region, but anywhere from $40, $50, or $60 per strand,
Okay.
depending on your region.
And where's this calculator?
You have to talk to me.
I figured as much. You ever use a Google Earth or anything like that to find the linear feet?
Yeah, great question. The question was, do you ever use Google Earth to find the linear feet? So it's always, always, always best to do an in-person estimate, because that way you can connect with the heart of the customer, then the mind will follow. It's very hard to do virtually or remotely, so always recommend an in-person estimate. If you have to do one virtually because you're so busy, so be it. You can use Google Maps satellite view, right-click, and then use the measure tool, and you can measure everything from there. The only challenging part for our American friends is gated communities, where Google Street View doesn't access, so you have to use Zillow and other tactics. Here for us, it's a little bit easier. Definitely possible, but I'd get in front of the customer.
And what's like the industry standard for linear feet per linear foot for lights? What have you seen?
Depends on the region, but let's say first floor, second floor, third floor. First floor will be roughly 8, then 9, then 10. But it really depends on your region and a bunch of other factors.
Okay.
It's more or less, yeah. Eric?
I'm pretty lazy. I sell everything virtually.
I know,
But it works. But
yeah.
That was my question at the beginning is like, what have you seen that's the best so you don't have to drive to every single job? Because most of them you could quote from Google Maps. You can see majority of the houses.
Yep.
So if you can set up your digital sales process so you don't have to do that and you can connect with people virtually, what's the best? We have like a nice looking email, we draw all the lines and like have our product guide and photos and stuff like that. But is there anything like above and beyond that you've seen, like a cool video or just anything creative you've seen there?
Yeah, it's
Sell over
a great question, yeah. For those that didn't hear online, it's if we have to do virtual estimates, what are some cool ideas or tactics to help sell better virtually over the phone? One I've seen, I think you already do it already, but like think more visual or more imagery. The more pictures or videos or photos you have, the better. I've seen videos that are cool, like a minute-long video, kind of walking the customer through a lights job. Maybe it pans to a customer's reaction. Somehow put the customer in their future shoes so they can feel the magic would be huge. So I've seen videos work really well. Simple, what's called lookbooks or brochures work well too, with images or pictures. Try and include smiling customers in them too. It sounds cheesy, but remember the first tactic, win the heart and the mind will follow. It's like a subconscious thing. It really works. So I'd say that. And then you really have to connect with a customer over the phone. I wouldn't just get their measurement and say, okay, bye, because you want to really build value, explain what you're doing, the difference between your products and store-bought products or competitors' products, and then try and explain the magic to them. But not recommended for first years if you're doing lights, because it's really hard. Eric, you've been in business for like 20 years, so you know what you're doing. But it is really hard to do virtually. Some people can nail it, most can't. Yeah.
We have a question online from Lighthouse Group. Have you found radio ads effective?
Great question. Lighthouse Group, that sounds familiar.
Huge.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Great question. I could talk about this for an hour, but in general, radio ads, depending on your market, are not worth it unless you probably do over $1 million in revenue in business, revenue or sales. Reason being, typical, and I say depending on your market. If you're in a small town market with cheap radio ads with a smaller reach, it might make sense. If you're like in Chicago, it costs you $100,000 just to get on the air. So it depends where you are. I don't know exactly where they are, but short answer to a long answer question is it takes 16 weeks to break even on radio. Just the data from all the stations, no matter what they sell you, it's 16 weeks to break even on radio. 16 weeks in an average market costs $50,000. Average market being your average top 30 city. New York, Chicago more, St. Louis, others, Edmonton, Calgary a little bit lower. So it's all in between. So A, depends on your market, get some quotes. If you're in a large market, it's not worth it unless you do millions in revenue. If you're in a small market, let's say Ann Arbor, Michigan, phenomenal radio market, it's a lot cheaper, better reach, and much more affordable. So happy to chat, just send me an email. There's a lot more I can chat about on that. I hope that answered your question. I'll take it as a yes. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Yeah, on the cell model, how do you offer maintenance within that?
Great question.
What's going out,
Yep.
storage for the lights and all that stuff, so how does that get factored in?
Yeah, great question. So 2 questions, maintenance, for those online, how do you offer maintenance on a cell model, and then also storage? So on the maintenance side, there's a warranty from Big Star Lights. If your lights satisfy that warranty, they were installed properly, and it's within that time period, you can work that out for Big Star Lights to have it swapped, and it's free basically. So usually what I see companies do is within the first season, any maintenance issues are included in that cost. If it's after that and a bulb goes out, then you pay per bulb to replace it. If it's just 1 or 2 bulbs, just throw them in. It's like $3. But if it's more, then you would charge them to replace it. A lot of maintenance issues I've seen, like squirrels chewing through wire, or in warmer climates, like landscapers or lawn care people, just like mulching extension wire or whatever, charge the customer for that. But rule of thumb I've seen, first season included, and then after that, just charge for any maintenance issues that come up.
How much? Like, what's the rate?
Whatever your per item price is. So you charge $3 for a bulb, you charge $3 per foot of light, you charge $2 for a foot of extension wire. So whatever your per foot price is, my recommendation is mark it up by 100% and then have your labor in there as well.
I've been telling people, as long as they're using our service, we'll warranty any lights.
Forever.
Because they're forever.
Yep.
I think the cost of lights is less than you losing that customer.
Absolutely.
That's what I do with my
Yep.
leasing.
Yeah.
This is what I explained are what most people do, and I've seen a lot of people do that. What I found is customers don't mind paying an extra $10 if they need to.
That is true, actually.
It's only $10, $20, and a lot of times the maintenance issue is the fault of a squirrel or a pest or pet, or branch fallen, windstorm, things like that. We can't control that, and most customers, 95%, totally understand the extra cost. But I love that model, all in one, makes it easy for the customer. So both are great choices, yeah. Storage, your storage question. When you charge for removal or takedown on a home, it's usually for the size of the home, small, medium, large, extra large home, or custom if it's big. The cost of that should include storage. I'd recommend you guys store your lights because you can control, A, the quality of the lights and where they're stored, and you can control your recurring revenue. If you keep the lights, they're gonna go with you. If you don't, I've had customers try it themselves or hire a competitor to do the lights. So as much as you can, store your lights. When you do store them in the bins, make sure to drill 2 1-inch holes on the bottom of the bin for airflow in them as well.
Yeah, that's the problem with selling them, is that once the warranty's up, then, because I do a 3-year warranty that I'm thinking about doing like 5-year warranty, because once the warranty's up, then they look for someone that's gonna do it for way less, and then who's the customer? Gone.
Yeah, and it's even if you sell the lights to the customer, you can still store it. Customers don't even want to think about it for most of the time. You're a full service company, so they want you to store it for them. And that way makes it easier to reinstall it. So many houses I've shown up to over the years and the bin's not outside if the customer stores it. It just ruins that morning or that afternoon, so it makes it easier. If you set the expectation from the beginning, they'll say, yeah, great, you're storing it, no problem.
Yeah, just word it like it's included as an extra service.
Yeah, here's a service that we offer. We're going to work with you to design your lights, install your lights, remove your lights, and we're going to store them in a safe environment. That way they're ready next year for your reinstall. Just a full in one package. Yes?
We have another question from Aaron Kotman. Any tips for managing cash flow during the seasonal cycle? Example, taking deposits in order to have capital to order products, etc.
So managing cash flow in the season or outside of the season. So absolutely, I agree with taking a deposit. Some of us are in a better cash situation than others. Up to a 50% deposit is quite standard in the lights industry. Average is 25%. The 25% covers your investment in the materials. You should always keep some inventory in stock. My recommendation is between $5,000 and $10,000 of inventory in stock, so you can pull from your existing inventory. You're not waiting for it to be shipped or delivered to you for those joining us virtually. That helps with your pricing, helps with shipping cost, and you getting customers sooner. But I would recommend taking a deposit, 25 to 50%. I hope that helps. I'll again take that as a yes. Any other questions before we grab some food?
What's the legality of temporary lights being installed in the customer's house year-round?
Question is legality of temporary lights installed in the customer's house year-round. It's different by state in the U.S. and by country, so I can't answer correctly for everybody. But in BC, where we're at, I believe is it 90 or 120 days are allowed to be up as a temporary install. And I think the same is reflected in Big Star Lights warranty, or very similar. Like, it has to be up temporarily in that time frame. So legality from a OSHA perspective, which is WorkSafe in the U.S. and others, it's different by state in the U.S. And in Canada, technically, if you just temporarily install it, anybody can do it, as long as it's, I think, 90 to 120 days. I know states like Washington State, right below us, if there's anybody on the call, a lot of times they're looking to require, like, an electrician is required to install lights like this, but not here.
I'm just seeing a lot of houses with staple lights, like professional grade lights that are stapled.
Yep, you can staple, as long as you're using insulated staples. Big Star Light sells them, they're awesome.
Putting them up permanently though.
Yeah.
Like leaving them up.
Oh yeah. That, I gotcha. So they've been up for a while, they've stapled, they're permanently, what's that?
It's actually illegal.
It's actually illegal to do that, but it's a gray area and
And there's no
Business,
insurance
yeah.
company that will cover it at all.
yeah. That's why it's temporary lights. You use clips or staples. If you use staples, just take them down at the end of the season. Also increases the longevity of the lights. If they're left up all year, the sun, the weather elements, everything gets at them. So the sell to your customers is, yeah, you have to pay to reinstall it every year, but they'll actually last you much longer rather than if you just keep them up.
It's a liability to leave them up.
Yeah. Great. We're at time. I can answer more questions over some food. Any more questions, Jessica, on there? Okay. Claire, I don't know if you wanted to come in, but thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. And here's Claire.